Yeah, I would not leave this area. I would definitely try to keep an eye on. Yeah, I would have. Okay, if there is one thing, like besides obviously just like not using your power correctly, like if there is one thing that I think that like is probably the biggest pain point, is that you gave up a lot of free pressure for just cause. Before we even get started, here we go.
For the YouTube. Be sure to hit follow, that like button and comment down below. For more migraine madness.
Migraine? More migraine? Why do you say it like that? Why is it not migraine? Why do you say migraine? Migraine. Yeah, migraine. But yeah, this is a match review. Our match sent in, which is going to be a Freddy match from Daddy_No, which was our first match review we ever did. We've ever done. So that's cool. So we can see potential progress or relapsing. Hopefully not the second. Hopefully not the latter part of that. Daddy has 916 hours in the game. So a fairly seasoned player, more than the average player by a lot. Just taking a gander at this build. Yeah, this is my M1 killer build. I was like, wait, I recognize this. I recognize this. This is just my M1 killer build. Ooh. Pill Bottle's a funny add-on, but it doesn't really do much. Black Box is a nice little gimmick. It's like Pocket Blood Warden. Obviously, if you're wanting to actually go all out, you run Paintbrush with this, but like, you know, Paintbrush and Black Box are kind of his only two good add-ons, so yeah, that's kind of it. Yeah, this build's really good on any M1 killer. Just synergizes well with anybody who downs with an M1, because you get the jolt, and you pick them up, and you almost always make a screw trick with Agi. Pain res surveillance tells you where that pain res hit, and then you go to the pain res gen to pressure the next survivor down them, jolt the gen that they were on, pick them up with Agi, start the process all over again. So yeah, very good for M1 killers. Very, very good. I don't know how good it will be after these pain res nerf, but I will test that probably and see how that goes. So yeah, let's go ahead and get to the match.
That'd be hilarious. And thank you so much for the follow. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
No crazy offerings or anything. Cool.
Welcome. You are my 76th follower. We're 4 away from our goal of 80.
Yeah, but
nice.
Yeah, obviously. Let's like make sure that you guys, if somebody appears on the match reviews and they are a content creator, please make sure that you support them. Please make sure that you actually go give them a follow on Twitch, a subscribe on their YouTube, whatever platform they happen to be on. If they are out here making content, that's not an easy thing to do. You put yourself out there, so I very, very much appreciate if you followed through and, you know, gave them the love and support for providing us a match today. So yeah,
Sweet.
I feel like this should be common sense, but apparently you need to say that nowadays, which is interesting.
The people.
Full tower?
Okay, I'll take it.
Fairly balanced map, yeah. Fairly balanced map.
I will take Zook Whole Tower. Just drop one here.
So this is a thing with trap killers right away. Sorry, not meaning to just already start with something right away. But with any sort of trap killers, putting your trap at the thing is always going to be less efficient than putting it like around the edges of the loop. Especially with a character like Freddy, where the dream snares don't actually snag the character at all. You can kind of get away with it with like Trapper, because Trapper, obviously, if they get hit into it, they're stuck in place, so it's a little different. But with most other trap killers, what you want to do is you want to put your traps on like the sides of the loop, because like with Hag, where she has to, you know, teleport to it and then swing anyways, or like Freddy, where it just slows them down. If you put it right next to the pallet like this, odds are if somebody runs through this later, they're just going to get slowed and then drop the pallet in your face anyway, which, you know, defeats the purpose of slowing them down in the first place. So if you want to trap this loop or trap this pallet specifically, put it the snare like off to the left or the right. So if they're looping around it, they will get slowed before they reach the pallet.
Just drop one here. All right, so upward side on triangle rules.
Hey.
I learned is from where you spawn and measure upside down triangle.
There you go. Homie listens. You got a listener in the chat. You saw her.
Where did they run to? Am I freaking?
Yeah, you saw her. Now, by the way, I'm terrible at tracking too. You guys saw that all day today. I'm terrible at tracking too. Don't worry. But you see her little yeah, you see the little glow up shirt up in the top right. She goes around the corner up here where Chad is.
Where did
I miss stuff like that all the time too.
I'm a little nuts apparently.
Yeah, she was there.
Okay.
It's good to. It's good that.
A little insane.
It's good that you don't waste time though. It's good, like that's a good mentality. Obviously, the most optimal play would be actually spotting them, but like you realize that if you can't find them right away, you got to keep moving. You got to keep moving. You can't waste time. You got to keep moving, which is a good mentality to have. It's a good.
I was not paying attention. Okay.
Obviously, this is why I know where to hide is a very good.
Just go ahead and grab this.
Very good perk, because it just weeds those people out.
There you are.
Yeah, you just gotta be more patient for that. Luckily, she's not paying attention. Luckily, she's not paying attention.
Isn't it fun when I turn it visible? Gotcha.
Yeah, putting a snare right there didn't really do anything, because like all this does is prevent her from running towards you, which she's already not gonna run towards you because you're there, right? Like you should be putting snares to slow people down before they reach resources and not putting them at the resources themselves. But she could have done this vault back and forth thing either way.
There we go.
It's not like the pinhead chains where like she vaults slower or something, right? Because she went through that.
Yeah, you better run.
Actually, I shouldn't say that too loudly. I'm giving behavior ideas.
Scourge hook. Here we go.
So that's not regressing, so you know she's there. Just camping the pallet. Usually with here, you can, if somebody's camping a pallet, what you can do to try and like circumvent this is, if you know she's here, because obviously you can see her legs here, what you can do is you can try to flash your red stain at this edge of this wall and this edge of the wall, and 9 times out of 10, they'll just like panic and drop the pallet on one end or the other, and depending on what end they're on, you just like come around and swing and hit them. So if you know somebody for sure is camping a pallet, you can just try to like flash your red stain on each side of it, and usually they'll panic and drop it. Some people have like an ironclad will, and they won't drop it for any reason, and those gamers are kind of scary, but like you don't realistically run into those like a ton. Like 9 times out of 10, they'll panic drop it. So that could have saved you some time there. And Light, I'm out of here. Get away from me. Can't wait for this new meta. Hee. Oh, wow.
Gotcha.
That was interesting. That was a very interesting play. It's so funny. I'm used to running Stabiffa on Freddy, so I'm not seeing your knife, your finger glove go faster. I'm like, what's wrong? Is something bugged? Because I almost always run Stabiffa on him for some reason. Yeah, see, perfect example. I know I keep harping on this, but perfect example. You see how, like, you put that snare there, and she got slowed down, but she still got the pallet on you. Like, like, that literally did nothing. Like, if you put it right to the pallet like that, cool, they're slower, but, like, you still got to drop the pallet in your face. So, like, you realistically, that didn't help you basically at all. So that is why. That preventing that specific situation from happening is why you don't do that.
All right, Tab coming in for the body block. Good boy. I'm going after Yui because she irritated me.
What did Yui do? Yeah, I'm gonna stop bringing it up because you know now. Now I've told you. But that's consistently been. Yep. See there again. See. Yep. Good job to go back and break that.
Shoot. Okay, they're already down 2 gens. I've only gotten 1 hook. Not great.
Yeah, up here earlier when you at the main building where you saw Jane, there was kind of no reason not to just like down her again. I know her and you were running together, but you could have like went after her, downed her again, jolted everything in that area, and then got out of the pain risk hook. But you committed to a chase with Yui and didn't down Yui, and now you're committing to like this really, really, really long encounter with her where somebody took.
Goodness.
Yeah, see, like all those gens are going up there at the top of the map too, where you would have jolted by downing Jane, where you would have been able to, you know, have your pain res hook for another gen regression. So I think committing to this really long chase with Yui, I know you said she irritated you. Probably why you're committing to it a lot, but like there was an easy down in Jane and you ignored it. Which is why this situation is sideways. And now she's back here where Jolt does nothing because they're really not over here. They're not working on these gens. So
all my scourges are over there.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right, we're gonna have to be a little mean now.
Yep. Yeah, you were just too far away. That's not your fault. You probably could have got that one. I understand if you're stressed, you're kind of going to start, like, you know, making more mistakes, but you could have got that one. Yeah, definitely go after Jane here. There's Jane somebody you've already hooked. You got to keep that consistent progress. Yeah. You got to keep that consistent pressure. Yeah, that what you did right there, where you faked one way and went the other. If you had done that at the Meg earlier, at the exact same tile on the other side of the map, you probably would have got her. Yeah, this is... If you had gotten that, that would have been fun. I get that you were trying to go after somebody who is injured, but I would have at least got the hit on... Yeah.
Shoot.
You had Jane at a... You would mind game Jane over here. Right? So you had her in a place where you could have feasibly hit her. Yeah, you go over here, you get to this 4 lane. And then you mind game the pallet. So she runs around this way, and you hear somebody working on the gen over here, so you like panic and go run after them. But like you were already committed to doing this mind game to catch Jane, and she was right there, so I would have just at least gotten that hit on her before going over there. So, yeah, because now he's just gonna, yeah, because now you don't even have that hit for all that chase time you devoted.
Okay. Where did he go? Shoot. Yeah, sorry, I'm not playing too well on Freddles right now.
Man, she just goes back and gets on the gen. Luckily, you've kicked this, so she has to take a hit here. Good.
Gotcha. It's just, gosh darn, I'm
she messed up.
Digging pallets right now.
She messed up.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh,
no,
shoot.
no.
That was weird.
You hate to see it.
Alright. Any...
Wow. Yeah.
Golly, gee willikers.
Somebody has proof, I think. Somebody definitely has to have proof the way they're getting through gens quick.
This.
And that gen's already almost done. That's terrifying. Yeah, I would not leave this area. I would definitely try to keep an eye on... Yeah, I would have... Okay. So, you said, and I quote, "It's time to play a little mean." The mean thing to do here, you have a gen, the last gen, we're at 1 gen, that is nearly completed. And you have somebody who is on second hook, so you could potentially camp them out of the game entirely, right next to a gen that is currently regressing. There is no reason for you to leave that area. There's no reason, especially since you know Yui is currently around and somebody else was also around. You know that 3 members of a 4-man team are all around this area. So there was no reason for you to leave this besides being nice. Trying to be kind and letting them reset, like there was no reason for you to die. If you actually wanted to like win this and play mean, you should have stayed around this gen. Force the gen to regress, force them to at least trade for this hook, get another pain res hook, regress the gen even more. You could have forced a lot of pressure out of the situation. You kind of just gave it up for free. If there is one thing, like, besides obviously just, like, not using your power correctly, like, if there is one thing that I think that, like, is probably the biggest pain point, is that you gave up a lot of free pressure for just cause. Your main priority here should be Jane. Your main priority here should be Jane. Jane's over to your right. You hear her going, oh, because she's so loud. Oh. You should be going after her. Because she's dead. And then you could just focus on actually causing some pressure with everybody else. You should get Jane. Not me. Jane was literally on the other side of this tile. Now she's not. Now she has a med kit. She's off into the ether. She's off somewhere. She's fine now. But when you first approached this tile with Meg, Jane was over to your left. So that she definitely would have been the prime target. And Meg's healthy. Like, you also had tap over here, and you didn't go for tap. You're going for a fully healthy survivor when all your slowdown is based on downs. You're going for a fully healthy survivor with the last gen up that's already partially finished. That is... And now you're chasing away from... Now you're chasing away from the gen that's nearly complete. You know that there's a gen that is nearly done, and you're kind of just letting them have it. Like, this is the thing that is going to lose you this match. You know a gen is over there that's complete, like, almost entirely completed. And you let them unhook right next to it. You let the person that's on death hook run away from it, and you let them tap the gen and just kind of, like, leave. You know? You gave up so much potential pressure that you could have used to turn this match around. Yeah, that's just totally fine. I'm not like, how dare you? But, like, you know. That would be the thing that I would point out and be like, yeah, that did it, right? Yeah, if you're running perks, this is something that's not even like, this isn't something that I see only you do. I see tons of killer mains do this. And it's why killer mains really, really loved the era of dry kick gen meta, because, like, you can't really mess up a dry kick. There's not really any inherent way to fail a dry kick. Like, it's just easy, and you get a lot of value, right? It's not like Jolt and Pain Res, as you're experiencing right now, that if you don't know to prioritize injured survivors, because all of your gen regression is based on downing people and hooking them, it's not possible for you to make the mistake of, hey, I'm going to accidentally go after a healthy survivor when I should have gone after non-healthy survivors. There's no way to mess that up. Because essentially you are a 2-perk Andy now. Well, not even that, because it's so vaggy. You're a 1-perk Andy right now, because you're not going after injured survivors and downing them. You're going after healthy people. When all of your slowdown is based on downing people. And it's why it's a major reason why those perks are receiving the adjustments and the nerfs that they are getting, is because there's no way to fail at them. You just dry kick the gen and you get value for free. I mean, you still will after the update. You still will after the update. It's just not as much. Like, that's why people prefer those perks, because there's no way to use them incorrectly. Like what these are. Because this, you know, and she has light.
I should have broken some of those, but I just didn't have time.
That's so sad. I would have checked on that gen. Even if it was for just a second to make sure nobody was over there, I would have checked on that gen. At least just, like, pan your camera over and see if anybody's on it. That was a good play. This was a good play. If you were slightly faster, that was the right play. Like, if you had slightly more distance on her, you would have beat her to the pallet one. This was not a bad play. This is just unfortunate because you were just slightly too far behind her. That was a good play.
Are you kidding me?
That was a good mind game. She wasn't paying attention. You just have the distance to do it.
Okay, I can't chase her. I'm not gonna catch her.
Yeah, somebody was on this. If you had panned over here earlier and seen them on this gen, you would have been able to, like, knock them off.
At this rate.
And this is tap, too!
I can at least get you down.
And he was injured. You could have done this, like, 15 seconds earlier. Very important. Yeah.
Okay. Alright.
That 15 seconds would have saved you the game. That 15 second, literally panning your camera over and seeing tap on the gen, that would have saved the game. Isn't that interesting? If you had panned your camera over before following Megan to the 4 lane and seen tap there, that jolt and then that pain res would have saved the game. That's interesting. That's like why I'm talking about, like, time and DVD is gen time. Like, I know that's like almost like a gimmick at this point. I just say that as like a catchphrase, but like, that's what I'm talking about. That 15 seconds that you spent going after Megan to that 4 lane was the difference between that getting that pain res hook and stopping that gen. Not the one tap was on. Somebody else was on a different one, but stopping that other gen from being finished. That was that quite literally that 15 seconds of time was all they needed to get that last gen done. So, yeah. Yeah, also in this situation, like, there's no reason for you to leave hook really either. Because, like, the game's already over, you might as well just confirm your 1K. Right? And then force trades until they can't do that anymore. There's no reason for you to leave here. Because that just let him get the save for free. Yeah, I just went... And once again, I know it's mean, but, like, should just waited out his 10-second BT and smacked him. The tap, I know he just came off hook, but she unhooked in your face. You were still... I know you're in the dream world, so she was oblivious, but technically you were still within tear radius range, right? She did a very, very greedy unhook. You should punish that by waiting out his BT and downing him. So Meg knows that that was a bad play. And that you can, you know, restart your whole, like, pressure by having somebody unhook again.
Got you that time. There we go. No, not at all. I'm having fun. That's what matters.
That's good.
I'm just not having a good game. These guys just... They knew what they were doing. They knew. They know. They're gamers.
Oh. Yeah, you're just kind of flustered at this point, that's all. Yeah, once again, leaving the hook.
Oh yes, by all means.
So you're gonna do it to Meg, but you didn't do it to...
Okay, that's fine. Perfect.
Yeah, you were gonna do it to... You didn't want to do it to Tap, but you did it to Meg.
The gate's blocked, guys.
Nope.
What?
No, it's
The
not.
gate should have been blocked.
Nope.
It has not been 15 seconds.
Nope.
What the gate was supposed to be blocked.
Nope. Nope.
That
Nope.
add-on is useless.
It's not useless. Let's bring it up.
What is that add-on for then?
Let's bring it up, friends.
It's supposed to block newly open gate.
Let's bring it up, friends. This is the add-on. Survivors inside the dream world suffer from the following effects. Recently opened gates are blocked for 15 seconds. But the key thing here is it's survivors inside the dream world. The dream world. The dream world. So, if you look here at the end, the only person that was actually asleep here was...
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, because Meg's awake, so she's fine.
Oh,
yeah,
no.
yeah. Half the survivors.
The gate's blocked,
yeah,
guys.
yeah. Half the survivors are awake. So
What?
yeah, yeah. All right. So let's see. Let's look at their builds. There's at least one proof, and there's a hyper focus as well. Hyper focus stakeout at for that matter. So that's why the gens were going fast. That part is kind of like out of your hands. You did have the right tools with Jolt and Pain Res to deal with it. Like, there's a lot of this that has to do, I guess, with Prove and Hyper Focus Stakeout, because those are just really, really strong perks that just kind of like help win the game for free. That's really obnoxious. They also all have Lithe except for Jane, who had Dead Hard, which is very, very rough for an M1 killer to deal with, because they, you know, you have no movement ability. So if they just Lithe like 4 tiles away, you just kind of like have to take that. There's not a whole lot you can do about that. Very, very strong perk against M1 killer. It's strong perk in general, but strong perk against M1 killers especially. But yeah, the main takeaways. The main takeaways that I would give you. Obviously, what we said at the beginning. If you're going to be playing a killer that traps, put the traps around the loops and not at the resources. So whether that be a window, whether that be a pallet, don't put it at the actual resource in the tile. Put it around the tile. The point of traps for most characters is that you're catching them before they reach the resource. Trapper, you can kind of get away with it because, you know, obviously if they get stuck in the trap, you know, they're stationary. But other trap characters like Freddy, like Hag, you still get the hit. You still have to come up on them and lunge at them. So obviously if you put the trap right next to the resource, they're just going to reach the resource. And it just kind of makes your whole, like the whole point of your power pointless. And I would even argue, even with Trapper, while it can work and does work a lot because, you know, they become stationary once they're caught in the trap, the resources of any sort of tile are probably the most obvious spots to put Trapper traps. So when survivors are going into an area and going, I saw Trapper over here earlier, I'm going to go see where he trapped, they're going to check the resources of a tile first. They're going to check the pallet. They're going to check the window, like, first. So, even then, I would argue if you Trapper, it's still probably better for you to put it around the loop and not exactly at certain, at the resources themselves. And I think, especially with Freddy now is slower. The reason Freddy used to be really obnoxious, among other reasons, was that he didn't used to slow down while placing his dream snares. So there was kind of no reason not to. He's essentially like Clown, except like more obnoxious. But now he slows down when he places them. So you are quite literally at a detriment to be placing all these snares that end up actually doing nothing. Like, you're literally slowing yourself down to get like no value. Obviously, the second thing, I'm just trying to think of a way to like phrase this in a way that's like conducive and not just like ranty. But when you create hotspots, we talked about this in the last video that we did for Spectra Bowl. You recreate a hotspot like you did where you hooked Jane, who is on second hook right next to a nearly completed gen where you know other survivors are. When you create a hotspot where you can stand there and proxy around and put a lot of pressure on the team, you need to hold that hotspot. You had so much pressure by having Jane hooked right next to that nearly completed gen with other survivors around that essentially what they would have to do to undo that situation was go into a corner somewhere and heal up together and then go get the Jane, which is a huge time waster, which allows that gen to regress. Maybe Jane gets really, really close to second phase, or not second phase, but get really, really close to dying by then, in which you can maybe force them to slip and have Jane just out of the game entirely. There was a lot of good that could have come out of that situation, out of that hotspot you created, and you just let him have it. You just kind of let him have it. For no reason, essentially. Like, I was excited when I heard you say, okay, we're at 2 gens, I'm going to start playing mean, but you still play nice for the rest of the game. That's essentially what it boiled down to, is that you said, okay, it's time to play mean, and then you played the same. You didn't proxy, you didn't camp, you didn't tunnel, you didn't throw somebody in the basement, you didn't do anything that killers can do to kind of like, you know, turn up the intensity or play mean, so to speak. You kind of just kept playing the same. So that giving up all that pressure by playing nice, whether it was on purpose or not, like that's where this match went wrong, because you could have definitely turned that to at least a 2 or a 3K out of that situation, but because you let it go, it just kind of like, you know, didn't come to fruition. Yeah, that would be my 2 main takeaways to place your traps around loops, not directly at the resource. And make sure that if you create a hotspot that has a lot of pressure, to not kind of give away that pressure very easily. Especially in a situation like that. Like, I get that, like, I do that sometimes with, like, I'm at, like, 4 gens, right? Like, I'm like there was that Oni game we had earlier today where I was just, like, downing them left and right, and I was just like, okay, whatever, I'll just let them unhook. I'll let them unhook. I could have just ended the match there, but I'm gonna let them unhook. It's not that big of a deal. Because, like, I was at 4 gens, and I was like, okay, well, like, half the team's on death hook. It's like, it's okay. Like, next person I find, I'm killing anyway, so it's fine. It's fine, right? But in your situation where you're at 1 gen and nobody was on death hook, that was not a time to be giving up pressure. So, yeah, that's well, I have for that. Luckily it was pretty easy to diagnose what happened there. I think it was pretty easy to diagnose what happened in that scenario. So it's easy to tell what to work on.